About 18 million Americans meditate, including some very bold-faced names.
I started meditation on July 1st, 1973, on a sunny Saturday morning at 11 o'clock.
One of them is director David Lynch.
You remember not just the date, you remember what the day was like.
I remember it as if it was yesterday, and it was so beautiful. I've been meditating twice a day for over 41 years and never missed a meditation.
It might come as a surprise to learn that Lynch, the director of such dark movies as Blue Velvet and Mulholland Drive, calls himself a, quote, bliss ninny. He practices transcendental meditation, also known as TM.
So people see things like stress, traumatic stress, tension, anxieties, sorrow, depression, hate, anger, and fear start to lift away. So it's like pure gold coming in from within and garbage going out.
For Lynch and its adherents, TM and its repetition of a personalized mantra
You will unfold your full potential.
can help free the mind from what he calls the rubber clown suit of negativity.
It's suffocating, it stinks, it's heavy, and you start meditating with transcendental meditation from a legitimate teacher, and that clown suit will start dissolving, and you'll feel so good.
And that's more than just talk. In 2005, he began the David Lynch Foundation for Consciousness-Based Education and World Peace. One of its goals? To teach students, like the ones at this school in Los Angeles, how to meditate.
Like sometimes in the morning, I don't want to come to school.
You don't want to come to school?
I don't.
That's the way I felt.
Take the meditation, it makes me want to come to school.
Did anybody here, when you first heard about meditation, think, okay, that sounds kind of weird?
I did, honestly.
Yeah.
Betsy, Marie, you both did?
Yeah. So did I.
Anna, you did too?
I thought it was like, you know, when you cross your legs and you hold your hands. I thought we would have to do that.
Twice a day for 15 minutes, these students meditate.
After that, it just helps me keep my day going. It just, that's everything that's bad, like, go away. And I just think of the positive things. It makes me become, like, more, I don't know, like, become more happy within myself and, like, I, like, become, I guess, more patient with others. When I'm in a better mood, my family's in a better mood. I don't argue as much with my sister. But when I get home after I meditate, like, I'm just in a good mood. I feel better about the day. You know, nothing bugs me.
Principal Jennifer Garcia says her school, like 43 others that have adopted the program, has changed for the better.
Kids are calm and they're not taking stuff out on each other. And they're really engaged in wanting to be helpful with each other. It's a different place.
Come on.
There's a trail on Gene Hackman's land.
Come on, let's go.
It winds down a mountain and through time.
Almost without exception, every time I walk this path, I think about people who were here, 200 years ago. Can you get it? Come on.
The history of the place appeals to him. So does the fact that his home outside Santa Fe, New Mexico, is 1,000 miles or so from Hollywood. Here, between movies, he can live his life in private.
That is some thick steel, too, you know?
Dan Lenihan is one of the world's experts on underwater archaeology.
That's magnifying it for you, right?
And no stranger to CBS News.
Now, let us pay a reverent visit to a quiet place.
He guided Charles Perrault through the wreck of the USS Arizona during commemorations in 1991, marking the 50th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor.
We never entered this place, this area, out of respect for the fact that the Arizona is a tomb, is a grave.
So how does this thing drive?
His office is in Santa Fe. About as far from the ocean as Gene Hackman's house is from Hollywood.
I'm not a natural diver.
But it was in Santa Fe they became friends.
Spit of land.
And diving was what brought them together. Here in the Dry Tortugas.
You can see what's part of the history, the battle.
One day they got to talking about adventure books they liked as boys. And that's when the idea of writing one came up.
And I think I said, well, how about a pirate story?
I started realizing that Gene might be serious about this. And I said, well, okay, well, you first then. Let's see what you would do.
What began as sort of a dare not only got written, it got published. The Wake of the Perdido Star, an old-fashioned historical novel, a sea adventure set in 1805, complete with pirates and shipwrecks, and a happy ending. Even though they live in the same town, they worked separately at home.
Bunny, take a break.
With all the usual distractions. Gene Hackman wrote his chapters longhand in spiral notebooks. Unorthodox to say the least, their method was a little like the building of the Transcontinental Railroad. Picking different starting points, they met in the middle in this case being the Cloudcliff Cafe.
I would have some pages. He would have some pages. We would trade. We'd read them over while we were ordering and eating, and by the end of the couple of hours, we would have critiqued each other's work and decided where we were going to go from there. Talk was scarce as the sailors prepared. Quince took one last survey of the ship and tied himself in.
What Gene Hackman called his audition chapter, the one that got them started, is a storm scene, inspired by his own experience weathering a typhoon in the South Pacific.
The seawater came over the bow in housefulls. It hit the quarterdeck, then burst upon the sailors on the main deck, all tethered in their spots, helpless to ward off the tons of water. Jack could hear screams as the men gasped for air and prepared themselves for the next wave.
Hackman and Lenahan, the two diving buddies, couldn't resist writing diving into the book. Diving as their characters would have improvised it 200 years ago.
How much of this book is the two of you bringing something out of your own past?
A lot more than we realized at the time. It's funny that we've both talked about that since it's finished. And we both realized that we had similar early backgrounds.
Hackman quit school at 16 and joined the Marines at the end of World War II. Dan Lenahan, too, left home at 16 to go to college. A kid from the Lower East Side of New York City, he found himself in Greensboro, North Carolina, just in time to get swept into the civil rights movement.
Became a very turbulent time for me. We got kicked out of school eventually, went on the road, became Jack Kerouac for a year and a half.
Who did you think you were writing for?
I suppose I was writing for my mother. I don't know. My father was a pressman in a newspaper. My grandfather was a reporter, as was my uncle. So she always wanted me to be a little better than my dad, to try to achieve a little higher level.
And that's been ringing in your ear?
That's been ringing in my ear for a while, and I think maybe I resolved that.
And being a writer then goes back to the source of the writers in your family?
Yes.
An astonishing assessment of his own achievement from a man who always wanted to be an actor, even as a child in Danville, Illinois. From someone who's made something like 70 movies, who's won 2 Academy Awards, an actor's actor.
When he fires that, take out your pistols and shoot him down like the mangy scoundrel he is.
Among the characters he's created, Popeye Doyle in The French Connection, Harry Call in The Conversation.
God, not this woman.
Unforgettable roles that have secured his place in cinema history.
One could say, you know, that I have achieved some manner of success, but it's like the difference between being a doctor and a lawyer and being maybe a laborer or something. You know, that I feel that in some ways that my efforts at being an actor are are so all instinctive, and that I hadn't really maybe paid my dues in terms of my contribution to the firmament.
The Wake of the Perdido Star is selling well, but has had mixed reviews.
The fact that you're being judged on your intelligence and your skill as a writer and your skill as a storyteller, that was very tense for me.
And being criticized.
And being criticized and finding that you're vulnerable to the critics in a way that I hadn't experienced before.
But Hackman and Lenahan would be willing to try another novel.
And in terms of us writing together, again, we've talked about it. We have some ideas, but Dan is currently writing a nonfiction book, and I'm just kind of getting old.
But at 67, Gene Hackman shows no signs of slowing down, even though he's been telling interviewers for years he's planning to do less acting.
We took the path by my house, like always.
A soon-to-be-released thriller called Under Suspicion with Morgan Freeman is one of 3 films he worked on last year.
There was no heartbeat, no heartbeat, no heartbeat.
You act, you paint, you dive, you write books. What else is on that list?
Well, I'm a pilot, and I've raced cars, and I've done a number of things like that.
Like the roles he chooses, the life he chooses is varied and deliberately challenging.
I need the diversity. I couldn't, I don't think I could stay here all the time. Can you get it? Come on.
He seems uneasy living just one life. Gene Hackman is, after all, the man who dared himself to write a book and then wrote one.
Come on. Where's Dutch, huh?
And what's this horse's name?
This is Champ.
Champ, okay.
This is the Champ.
No doubt named after the man of the house, George Edward Foreman, 2-time heavyweight boxing champion, world-class salesman.
And you're knocking out the fat.
And father of 10.
Now, what's your son's name, George?
This is George right here. His name is George.
And yes, he did name all 5 of his sons George.
George Edward Foreman, 5 sons, all named George. You got Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Kenny Norton, Ron Lyle. You let those people hit you on the head and see how many names you're going to remember. It would be confusing.
So you kept it simple.
I kept it simple. I never forget a name.
And he's co-written a book about his sons, a children's story called Let George Do It. The parent company of the publisher also owns CBS.
You learn George, that word, then you learn it again. Next thing you know, you can have a whole book. 60% of the words in that book are George. That's the part I wrote.
Foreman lives on 40 acres outside of Houston with his 5th wife and many of his children.
You didn't get all the things you have from boxing.
Oh, no.
I mean,
most of the things you accumulate has nothing to do with boxing.
Yeah, but you got a lot of stuff on the grill, right?
Oh, but no, the grill helps feed them.
The grill.
Has the same legendary cooking performance.
A kitchen appliance that few were buying until George Foreman agreed to market it in exchange for a piece of the company. In the 10 years since, Foreman says they've sold nearly 70 million of the various George Foreman grilling machines.
When you go to the airport sometime and people stop and say, George, we love the grill. That's greater than them telling me, George, you did a good job becoming heavyweight champ of the world.
Add his other endorsements, and it's been estimated that this uncommon man with the common touch has made nearly $250 million as a product pitchman. 3 times his earnings in the ring. Foreman's road to success started in an unlikely place, Houston's tough 5th Ward neighborhood, where poor and hungry led to mean and dangerous. He learned to box at 16, won Olympic gold at 19, and at 24 defeated Joe Frazier to become world champion.
The fight is over. The fight is over.
The next year, he defended his title in Zaire in one of the most famous fights in history, the Rumble in the Jungle against Muhammad Ali.
I beat him up for the first 3 rounds, 4 rounds. I think I even beat him up the 6th round too. Then all of a sudden I hit him in the 7th round, And he whispered in my ear, "That all you got, George?" That was all I had. You better the rope-a-dope?
Heard of the rope-a-dope.
Well, here's the dope.
At the time, Foreman was devastated.
I was young, only 25 years old. I didn't know what to do. I thought my life was over because when you lose a championship, it's not like you lost a title. You lose yourself because it's like you're not a man anymore.
3 years later, after another loss, Foreman had a religious experience that changed his life.
In a split second, I was dead. Over my head, under my feet, all around me was nothing but loneliness and emptiness and nothingness. And I just said, I don't care if this is death, I still believe there's a God. When I said that, I was rescued out of nothing, alive in that dressing room again with blood flowing through my veins, screaming, Jesus Christ is coming alive in me.
God so loved the world.
There was little left of that mean kid from the 5th Ward. Foreman became an evangelist, preaching first on street corners, then in his own church.
And you took 10 years away from boxing?
For 10 years, I didn't even make a fist. I didn't box, I didn't try to box, I was done with it. I was a preacher, a happy, fat preacher.
He opened the George Foreman Youth and Community Center, a safe place for kids to hang out.
I just wanted to keep them around and keep them out of trouble. Show them how to box because this is what I knew how to do, and yet get the anger out of them.
Why did you go back into the ring again, George?
I went back into boxing, really profound money.
Profound money. You needed the cash.
I had to get back into boxing because I was literally out of money.
So at 37, George Foreman began his comeback. Ridiculed at first, too old, they said, too fat, too slow. But he was also too strong, and in 1994, more than 20 years after he beat Joe Frazier for the title, George Foreman knocked out Michael Moore and was world champion again. No 45-year-old man had ever won the heavyweight title.
Did you get more enjoyment out of boxing the second time around?
Second time around, I was so happy about so many things. It made for a better athlete.
Yeah, and some people have said they heard you say, you might want to do it again, George. You know, tell us that's not true.
I want to box again. I'm not going to lie. I even went back into training for a small period of time, getting in shape, ready to go. My wife told me, no, you can't do it.
Okay, so who's the boss?
I haven't gone back.
These days, at 56, there's no time for boxing. Among his projects, he's marketing a line of big and tall clothing for casual male.
What makes the George Foreman line of clothes so special?
Well, most importantly, on all the tags, got George Foreman.
It's got George Foreman.
Yeah.
He's still pitching, and he's still preaching.
That's my calling. To be a preacher is really my calling. It's my job. I only moonlight as a boxer and a salesperson.
This is something the world has never seen. George Foreman in a mini. Are you content with your life, or are you still driven?
I'm driven. I like the life I'm living, but I'm driven because there's so much more to obtain. I'm one of those guys who's gonna have to fall out of the saddle. There's always one more star to reach for, and I'm trying to.
The winner is George
You won't be able to place the faces in these pictures. They are people from a world most of us have never seen, but they're our neighbors on this planet who belong to a world of work that is vanishing.
How's it look?
Yeah.
How's it look with you?
I believe it's working quite well, no?
Yes.
So it's our good fortune that they have a biographer of sorts, the Brazilian photographer Sebastião Salgado. An exhibit of his photographs is on display here at the International Center of Photography in Midtown Manhattan through late May. It's called simply Workers.
I spent about 6 years around the world trying to make a portrait of this work in class that is disappearing.
For most of history, the world's work has been done by hand. But now, in a time when machines are making human beings more and more expendable, Salgado figured he'd better get his pictures while the getting's good.
This one and that one work beautifully together. That portrait.
Yeah, that's perfect. Because this scale is a human scale. That's
Yeah.
perfect to big choice, but it's perfect. I believe that's it. That's okay.
I believe that's the story of humanity, the way that we work, that we produce from the beginning until now.
And the story of how desperately hard the work is. Cane cutters in Cuba, gold miners in Brazil, and the terrible places where the work must be done. The purgatory of a sulfur mine in Indonesia, oil workers trying to put out the scores of oil well fires in Kuwait, for slaughterhouse workers in South Dakota. Some of it pays very well indeed, but workers who cut their way under the channel to connect England and France will tell you they earned it. But most of the world's work pays barely enough to live on, and work is when and where you can find it. In the coal mines of India, finding fish in the shoals of the Mediterranean. Salgado's genius is that he can focus on the real people in this tapestry of toil, strong, dignified people.
This is an exhibition of pictures of proud people.
Proud people, people that has conscience that they are producing the base of the life of the other humans.
People who know who they are and what they can do. No-nonsense people.
And beside the hard work, there is the life, there is the discussion, there is the smiles, there is the sufferings, there is so many things that goes on. There is the time that we don't work, there is the life that goes on.
It's all there in pictures. Work and play. Love and laughter. Hate and anger, too. And as you've seen by now, the world's work is certainly not just man's work. It was these women that dug the Rajasthan Canal in India, a shovelful at a time, with their babies on their backs. The Bible says God created the world in 6 days. The women did God one better.
So they work 7 days. When women finish the work, they go back home and they continue to work because they must prepare for the family, they must prepare food for the kids. When men finish to work, he really finished to work.
It's obvious that God was a man.
Absolutely, God was a man.
What strikes you in these pictures is how much of the work now is in the service of machines. In Bangladesh, they cut old ships apart to make a plow or a butter knife, or a fender for a new car. Machines are quickly making much of the work and the workers you see in these pictures obsolete, which is why Sebastião Salgado captured it all in black and white for the record.
I believe that all humanity must know about, because if we want to build something for the future, we must know the past and we must know what's happened in the present moment.
So take a last good look at Salgado's pictures. Soon enough, they'll be history.
For me, this is like memory lane.
Many families keep their memories in photo albums.
Take this. Pull.
Oh my gosh. So this is from 1946?
Yeah.
Wow.
Leonard Lauder keeps his in a company archive.
Everything that we've ever had and done, there's a sample or two here.
At 87, Lauder is chairman emeritus and former CEO of the Estée Lauder Companies, a $90 billion beauty empire.
I tell people that I'm a lipstick salesman. I love to sell things.
He's literally shaped an entire industry.
The shape of the lipstick that I use, you created that?
I did. Everyone had a standard bullet-shaped lipstick. So I took a Gillette Blue Blade, sliced it so that it would fit the woman's lips.
It all started 74 years ago with his iconic mother, Estée.
I remember sitting in my high chair and in the kitchen, and I would see her mixing the creams on the stove.
She sold her so-called jars of hope initially at beauty salons in New York, tempting women with free samples and a 3-minute makeover.
I've never seen anyone love to make women beautiful like her.
It was in her blood.
It was in her blood, yeah.
It became a family business. Her husband Joseph kept the books, and a young Leonard packed boxes of powder and cleansing oil.
We had a little tiny factory, and I would go there after school for 25 cents an hour, and I'd work.
Lauder enlisted in the Navy after college and joined the company in 1958, sharing an office with Mom.
And I would listen to her on the phone. And did I learn?
He writes about life lessons in his new book, The Company I Keep, equal parts biography, business, and tribute to his mother.
I want to have the best company in the world. Nothing less than that.
Lauder expanded overseas. He created Clinique, a risky move to take on rivals.
I said, the bigger we get, we're going to have competition. I said, why wait for someone else to do it? I did it myself.
It worked. Today, the company owns more than 25 brands.
This was your mother's office.
Yeah.
It's very glamorous.
Yeah, very.
As Estée aged, that glamorous life hid a private struggle. Like her mother and sister, Estée was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. She died at 97.
How hard was it as a son to watch your mother, who had been so vibrant, start to deteriorate like that?
It was very hard. But I remember being with her, and my wife Evelyn came into the room and said, Estée, we miss you in the office. She looked at Evelyn and said, I miss me too.
Lauder's donated millions to fighting Alzheimer's, just one of his many well-known causes.
I rarely simply give money to people and say, oh, you do it. I wanted to make our philanthropy transform something.
The lifelong art collector made headlines for his pledge to New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art.
One man's gift is about to shake up the world of art. It is worth $1 billion.
Lauder's love of art helped him find love again. After his first wife, Evelyn, died in 2011, he connected with photographer Judy Glickman, a longtime family friend who had recently lost her husband, Al.
He proposes every morning.
Leonard, why is that important to you?
Because I wanted to reinforce every day my love for her.
They got married in 2015. She was 76 and he was 81.
Oh, right. It took me a little while to, is this real? And what is happening? And oh my goodness, am I really going to be starting another whole life?
You know, some people might say, you know, you didn't have to get married again.
I had to share my life with someone.
It's a different stage of life, equally as exciting and as challenging, but just in a very different way and very special.
In his special life, Leonard Lauder says he's learned the ultimate lesson. It's not all about success.
If you had to boil it down and put a message in the bottle.
Yeah.
What is the thing that you want to be remembered for?
He listened. That's all. And he was kind.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
it?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
Is it possible to be a David Gergen today, to serve presidents of different parties?
Listen, I can assure you that there are lots and lots of people out there who are better equipped to do it than I was.
But there aren't a lot of people going between R and D.
There are not a lot of people, and then, if you want to see the results, I can show you the scars on my back.
David Gergen may be a battle-tested veteran of decades spent advising presidents, Republicans and a Democrat. But Gergen, who turns 80 tomorrow, doesn't hold back when asked to describe the state of democracy in 2022.
We can't continue on the path we're on. It's unsustainable. He has a sense that we're like in a car at midnight on the edge of a cliff with rain falling and no headlights.
Sound alarmist? Well, consider the source. David Gergen remains a Washington legend for his clear and steady appraisal of the times, having guided Presidents Nixon, Ford, Reagan, and Clinton through critical moments in U.S. history.
When you step back and look at all of this, is America in a political crisis or a moral crisis?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I think it's a moral crisis. I really honestly believe these are moral questions ultimately.
Gergen is reaching out to those who share his concerns with a new book, Hearts Touched with Fire, published by CBS parent company Paramount Global's Simon & Schuster. It's a call for a new, younger generation of leaders to seize the reins and to learn from someone who was so often in the room where it happened.
Take me in the room with Richard Nixon. What's a lesson from your time with Nixon that applies today?
Nixon was a man who was, in my judgment, the best strategist we've had in the last half century or so. But he also had demons inside him that he had not learned to control, and they eventually took him down.
Always remember, others may hate you, but those who hate you don't win unless you hate them. And then you destroy yourself.
Well, know what one of the most wonderful images is? Nixon getting on the helicopter.
Yeah.
And that night in Washington, life went on.
Well, it did, exactly right. I was there, I was on the lawn, I saw the helicopter take off.
The transition of power worked in August 1974.
It did.
Not on January 6, 2021.
Absolutely, and I think that is just a measure of how much we've changed.
You've worked for Republican presidents. Do you have faith in Leader McCarthy and Leader McConnell?
No. I wish I did. I am looking forward to the day, which I think will come, when the Republican Party will regain its balance.
But the Republicans are not just dealing with an ideological battle.
Yes.
They have a former president still on the march politically in this country, pushing a lie.
Yep. But there are various signs now that the power, the structure, the Trump in charge, that armor is beginning to fall off a little bit. He looks a little more ragged now than he did before.
Gergen's call for new leadership includes our current president.
Your book says it's time for the current generation of leaders, frankly, to get out.
It's time
to head for the exit.
It's time for the torch to pass. There are some wonderful people who are in power. Mostly, baby boomers. But the truth is, as a generation, the baby boomers, I think even to many of the baby boomers, has been a disappointment.
President Biden, should he run again in 2024?
In my judgment, sadly, I think that President Biden's time as an active leader will end with this term, and should end with this term.
Would the same message apply in the House and in the Senate? Leader McConnell, Speaker Pelosi?
Absolutely.
They might say to you, David, we might be near 80, but we can still do the job. We don't need to go away.
I think the proof is in the pudding on that question. If this is the job they say they're doing so well, I think most people in the country would disagree with that. Our problem is we've had too many leadership failures, not too many successes.
For more than 20 years, Gergen has taught leadership at Harvard's John F. Kennedy School of Government. Like the school's namesake, Gergen is a Navy veteran and sees military service as a character-forming crucible, something missing from the lives of so many today.
Do you believe young people are craving some kind of tough, forging experience on leadership?
Yes, I do. And I think you see it in some of the Parkland kids. who've been coming back. I think we see it certainly in the climate movement with Greta Thunberg. We see Malala overseas in Pakistan. And the other stream I would call your attention to are young black women who are occupying the high ground, on things like Black Lives Matter and the Me Too movement.
But just down the street here in Cambridge at Harvard, you have so many ambitious students who are saying, I have to go into the private sector. A lot of young people feel like they don't have the time or ability to do national service.
I agree. There are people who would do that, but we haven't offered it in a very big way. We haven't encouraged people to do it. Let's go back to and remember a predecessor organization. It was called the Civilian Conservation Corps.
Planting is another important conservation measure.
We had 250,000 young men in the woods. It was the most popular program of the New Deal. When people serve when they're young, they tend to come back to it.
After years of serving presidents, David Gergen now hopes to shape future ones. And while his eyes are fixed on tomorrow's leaders, the lessons of the past are always close at hand.
You write about that picture of JFK leaning over the desk.
Yes. Our leadership models are evolving. That Kennedy really was that was the great man theory in a picture. It's sort of at dusk, lonely figure, the burden of the world on his shoulders. Look at Obama. From my point of view, the iconic picture of the Obama presidency is when he's down in the Situation Room, we're closing in on Osama, and there are all these people surrounding him, all of his advisors. We've moved from a singular person theory of leadership to a more collective action. Constructive collaboration becomes essential in a really complicated world that's moving so quickly.
Leadership can be tough.
It can be very tough, but you can't forget the essentials that go back to the Greeks and Romans, of character and of capability and of courage. Those are things that are still necessary today, hundreds of years later.
As the bids fly in quickly increasing increments of yen, an unlikely observer lurks in the crowd at Tokyo's Tsukiji fish market. Martin Cruz Smith, best known as the best-selling author of Gorky Park and Red Square, is here watching the giant tuna come up for auction.
And then when they pull off the tarp, can't you half believe that there's going to be a dead body?
As a writer of suspense, Smith has buried bodies in Russia and Cuba. But this time his backdrop is Japan, at a critical point in history. On the eve of the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. The roguish hero of Smith's new novel, December 6th, is Harry Niles, the son of American missionaries.
He grows up in the streets of Japan and speaks perfect idiomatic Japanese, who thinks in very much a Japanese way. What would it be like for him as an adult in Tokyo the days before Pearl Harbor? What did he think was going on?
Japanese is spoken best when it's not spoken at all. You understand, Harry, because you are a thief, and thieves are good observers. You'll never be Japanese, but I would bet that in a dark room, you could fool anyone. Writing December 6th was a 2.5-year adventure for Smith. To begin with, he didn't speak the language.
I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I profoundly don't know what I'm doing.
When we visited Smith at his home overlooking San Francisco Bay, he was still at work on the novel, the completed chapters hanging neatly from hooks up the stairs to his office.
So I decided to make it visually accessible. So each of these is a different chapter.
It looks like you're hanging your chapters out to dry here.
Yes, I like that. I like the idea that they're photographs being held up to dry.
Beside his desk, Smith had spread maps of 1941 Tokyo across the walls and tacked up period photographs, circling anything or anyone that intrigued him.
In other words, you say to yourself, who was she?
Yeah.
If you were going to walk in that door and talk to her, what would she say? What I'm trying to get across to myself here is as if this were a film rather than a still photo, as if I've captured them for a moment, but if I can just think about it the right way, they'll start to move. And that's what I'm after.
Yeah.
But so much of the world Smith was trying to bring back to life was destroyed during the war.
What I did was I went back to Tokyo and tried to find pre-war Tokyo. And it's not easy.
Enter Ted Van Dorn, who would become Smith's guide and literally lead the writer into a vanished world.
You buy your fortune there. In every shrine or temple they have this.
An American born of Dutch and Japanese parents, Van Dorn grew up in pre-war Tokyo.
This is supposed to be a Navy zero.
Smith's hero, Harry Niles, was modeled in part on Van Dorn, who, like Harry, was treated as an outsider, but still empathized with the Japanese.
And most of this is devoted to the kamikaze.
Yes. Van Dorn led Smith to the most potent link to Japan's military past, the Yasukuni War Shrine.
So many Japanese just disappeared in the war.
Missing in action.
Missing in action. This is the only place now where these families can come and make any connection.
Exactly.
Emperor Hirohito was an occasional visitor to the shrine. In December 6th, Harry Niles comes here too, as he tries to dodge Japanese gangsters, the Tokyo police, and the intrigue of Japan on the edge of war with the West. Even this situation now seemed strangely inevitable. He had watched kabuki all his life, and finally had a role. Exit pursued by samurai. Only there was no exit. Martin Cruz Smith was born Martin William Smith, Bill to his friends. He added the Cruz as an intriguing pen name. In fact, his background is intriguing.
My father was a jazz musician.
His mother was part Pueblo Indian.
She became a jazz singer, a ballad singer in New York, along with my father who played the sax. And so I can't hear jazz without it being a family noise, a family sound. Where's the baby?
She's upstairs. I'll go get her.
Smith and his wife Emily are grandparents now. For Bill Smith, who'll turn 60 next month, it's been a long road. He was a reporter briefly after college.
What did I do? I was a good humor man for a while.
You went from being a reporter to being a good humor man?
Yeah. I made more as a good humor man. And I had my truck, I had my cap, I had my bow tie, and my bell, you know, and I'd ring my bell, I made quite a lot of money as a good humor man. I discovered that one other thing I could do besides sell stories was sell popsicles.
Under a variety of aliases, Smith would write dozens of pulp novels, but his career really changed when
I got a contract to write this Russian book.
The book was the 1981 blockbuster Gorky Park, the story of a triple murder in Moscow's socialist playground, and the Russian detective Arkady Renko who solves it.
Bodies carved up in the middle of Moscow, who knows where it could lead.
The book's phenomenal success even led to a Hollywood movie.
You weren't surprised by the success of Gorky Park?
No.
Were in any?
That's terrible to say.
No.
But I just, you know, it was such an obvious idea.
But the communists were not amused. Smith was blacklisted by the Soviet Union.
I could not get back in at that point. I was persona non grata. So what I did was I found this piece of Russia floating around the Bering Sea in this factory ship, Soviet factory ship. I worked my way onto that.
The ship was the Sulak out of Vladivostok. Smith somehow charmed the captain, and his brief stay aboard became the basis for Polar Star, Renko's next adventure. Renko returned again in Red Square and even went to Cuba in Havana Bay. But Smith has abandoned his Russian hero for long periods over the years. A writer, he says, has to keep himself interested.
His writing is so boring. I mean, it is, you know, you're up there alone, nobody's there. And sometimes you kind of swivel around just to see if anybody showed up. No one ever shows up. It's just you. So, you know, if you aren't really fascinated by it, it's not going to happen.
But after his diverting journey to pre-war Japan, Smith says he can feel his curiosity being tugged in a familiar direction.
I've been away from Russia too long. I really am curious to see what's happening.
Once again, Martin Cruz Smith can feel the presence of Arkady Renko lurking over his shoulder.
You know, I can feel him sort of pacing, you know, smoking cigarettes and pacing. When, you know, when is he going to be done with this Japanese book and we can get back to work?
Hey, Tommy, how you doing?
Ron Turcotte, Belmont Park in New York. Never in the history of thoroughbred racing has one place held more triumph and more tragedy for one man. Turcotte revisited Belmont on a recent glowing spring morning. He has been paralyzed from the waist down ever since last July 13th at Belmont, when his mount, apparently crowded coming out of the gate, clipped the heels of another horse and sent Turcotte sprawling.
We were all going straight there, and one and two had gone to the inside some, and he started drifting out toward me. And I hollered, you know, 4 or 5 times. Just like he didn't hear me, he just come right out and bumped me, and I clipped the other horse's heel, and my horse went head first and pitched me head first into the ground. And the strap of my helmet broke, which probably saved me from breaking my neck. Tried to move, and I couldn't. Then I realized that I was paralyzed. Secretariat is widening now. He is moving like a tremendous machine.
It was also here on June 9th, 1973, that Ron Turcotte rode what he says was his best, his most spectacular race.
They're in the stretch. Secretariat has opened a 22-length lead.
Guiding the great Secretariat to victory in the Belmont Stakes in track record time by an incredible 31 lengths. It was the race that made Secretariat and Ron Turcotte the first Triple Crown winners in 25 years. Turcotte has an even fonder memory of a race 3 months after that at Belmont.
The most satisfying race, I would say, was the Marlboro of 1973.
And they're off. Now they're going for the lead. It's
that was a great satisfaction because everybody was saying he wouldn't be ready for that race, and he wasn't that great a horse. He wasn't the greatest, and I always maintained that he was the greatest horse that ever looked through a bridle. He just took off, broke the world record. He could have gone faster if I wished to do so, but I didn't want to hurt the horse.
They're cutting to the wire. Ronnie Turcotte choosing the stick. Secretariat has run away and goes by 2.5. Beaver Ridge is second. Cougar closed well.
Turcotte's mounts earned a total of nearly $29 million in purses, and in 16 years of racing, he rode 3,033 winners.
See right there, you can see two horses. See them two horses working head and head. You know, it's a spirit of the thoroughbred, you know.
The spirit of Ron Turcotte helps him endure almost constant pain, sometimes dull, sometimes severe. His spine has not fused after 2 operations for a broken vertebra, 2 crushed vertebrae, and severed nerves. His medical expenses, as with all jockeys, are covered by insurance and compensation. Responsibility for the accident that paralyzed him is the subject of a $100 million lawsuit filed by Turcotte last April.
What do the doctors say about you and walking again? They say no, don't they?
Yeah, right. As far as their medicine studies and that, they say no, but again, they're not God, and I think only Him knows it, whether I'm going to walk again.
What's in the immediate future?
Well, right now, the immediate future for me right now is my health. As soon as I'm able to, I'd like to start training horses. Mentally, I know I can do it. To do it physically, where I'm going to do the horse justice and the owner justice.
Could you do that from a wheelchair?
Oh, yes. I don't want to do it and start that till I'm ready, you know. It does require an awful lot of time. And I don't think anybody hurting is really in his right frame of mind to make all the right decisions and see everything right when you're hurting. The same as when you're working. You're not performing at your best if you're hurting. The same as a thoroughbred. If he's hurting, he's not going to give you 100%. Even though he wants to, he just can't.
Secretariat used to live here in trainer Lucien Lauren's barn.
We have any secretariats in here?
There were no secretariats here when Turcotte stopped by this day, but there were thoroughbreds, all kinds. And when you can look forward to being a trainer yourself someday, even if you've had to discontinue therapy because of the pain, even if you're thinking of going to Russia for a controversial enzyme treatment of paralysis, if you're Ron Turcotte, you tell yourself it's always darkest before dawn. And dawn at Belmont Park is a very good time.
This is where it's all at. And the racetrack can never change.
Giorgio Armani is on the prowl before every one of his fashion shows.
Boom, via, go.
There's no detail too small to escape his attention.
Okay.
One moment he's personally greeting his models, this time in New York.
La Goulue, remember La Goulue?
The next, he's encouraging a hairdresser to create a look reminiscent of an 1890s Paris dance hall.
C'est un peu comme ça. Lui è bello così, ciao.
He not only comments on the makeup, he takes over and does it himself. On model after model. Very good, you look great.
Ciao.
And Armani, who knows some English but feels more comfortable communicating in Italian, explains through an interpreter that he just can't help himself.
Di preparazione delle ragazze.
It's a long process in preparing the models' hair and makeup, and it almost seems that I really shouldn't be here. Sort of, people might think it's a waste of my time, but I need to have a presence here and to sort of control what's going on in terms of hair and makeup.
You even work with the models and decide which model wears which outfit?
So è molto importante per...
This is a very important process because a lot of times a particular model wouldn't be able to carry a particular outfit.
Very cool. It's an important point because Giorgio Armani's clothes are very much about attitude. Very cool. He has developed a reputation for a super cool yet refined look in his casual and formal wear for both men and women. Of course, there is some irony in his own wardrobe choice. You're a fashion designer. You make all these beautiful things for men and women, but you usually always wear very plain, almost the same thing every day. Why is that?
Perché io vivo con I vestiti. Parlo di vestiti, sogno i vestiti, vado al cinema e vedo I vestiti soprattutto. In più c'è un altro fattore, secondo me un tono di colore scuro, forme piuttosto aderenti al corpo aiutano a sembrare più alto, più interessante.
Giorgio Armani doesn't have to try to be interesting. His is a real rags to riches story. He was born in 1934 in Piacenza, Italy. It was a childhood ravaged by the Second World War.
Una casa distrutta dalle bombe e mio padre non aveva un lavoro sufficientemente redditizio per poterci mantenere, eravamo in 5 in famiglia. Ricordo adesso, a distanza di tanto tempo, che abbiamo veramente vissuto con la fame, quindi difficoltà economiche, certo, come molte famiglie italiane quell'epoca.
He never dreamed of becoming a fashion designer, but a temporary job in a department store made him realize he had a knack for fashion. He rose through the ranks at the store and then started working for designer Nino Cerruti. But you never formally studied, you never really went to fashion school, no?
No, questa è una cosa che stupisce molto le persone. Io ho tutto imparato invece da solo.
In 1966, Armani met Sergio Galeotti, an architectural draftsman who became his partner in work and in life. It was Galeotti who encouraged Armani to start designing on his own. And in 1975, they formed the Giorgio Armani Company, first making menswear, then launching a line of women's clothes, focused on recutting the traditional men's suit jacket. Armani says it was a response to the emerging feminist movement. He thought women needed their own, sexy version of boardroom attire.
Questi sono vestiti per uomo, però secondo me anche sulla donna sono bellissimi.
Because you are known. Men, you make the
Yes.
clothes for men a little bit,
Yes.
they can wear more feminine things.
More new.
Now women can
Esatto.
wear more, a little more
Esatto.
masculine.
E questo misto di cose che io ho saputo fare da tanti anni ormai, che ha sconcertato molto il pubblico. Qualche volta ho visto perplessità, no?
We may be used to the Armani look now, but it was so revolutionary that it put him on the cover of Time in 1982. He has designed clothes for more than 150 films, including Richard Gere's suave suits in American Gigolo.
We tried them on, and all of a sudden this character started coming alive, this kind of very contemporary guy. And you know, that was the beginning of me getting into that character, was actually his clothes.
He gave Samuel Jackson a sleek new look in Shaft 2000.
He has found a way to incorporate the classic things from all those times into contemporary times.
But it's not just in the movies. So many Hollywood stars have worn his clothes to the Academy Awards over the years that Armani was asked to write the foreword to Vanity Fair's Oscar night book, which definitely boosted sales, especially for Giorgio signed copies. At Bergdorf Goodman in New York, adoring fans lined up for hours to get a peek, and maybe a peck from their favorite designer.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Fans, including actress Glenn Close.
I have the first Armani black double-breasted blazer that I bought, and I wore it just the other day and felt fantastic in it, and it looks a little retro now.
Armani has been honored with museum exhibits all around the world and raked in a slew of awards. When he received one from Fashion Group International, devotees from music star Usher to actresses Michelle Pfeiffer and Julie Andrews to director and close friend Martin Scorsese came to pay tribute.
The interesting thing he does with textures, use of color and fabrics, and it's so inventive, and yet his classical line goes through, it's like it could be from the 1930s to the 2030s.
All of this is particularly nice for Giorgio Armani because not everyone expected his brand to endure. In 1985, Sergio Galeotti died of cancer. You were doing so well, and then your partner passed away. That must have been a very difficult time for you.
Sì, in effetti quando Sergio è mancato, mi è mancato non soltanto la persona cara vicino, ma
Both personally and
personalmente
professionally.
e professionalmente. Ho dovuto anche lottare probabilmente contro la convinzione pubblica, comune, che io non ce l'avrei fatta, che io ero un bravo designer ma non ero un bravo manager. Quindi è stata una bella scommessa.
A gamble that paid off. Giorgio Armani's Milan-based empire has now made him the richest man in the fashion industry, with a net worth estimated at more than $4.5 billion. And it's not just fashion. The designer's elegant Milan apartment helped inspire a string of shops devoted to Armani home design products. And when he made an appearance at the New York store, a very unexpected fan showed up. Famed architect Frank Gehry. The two had never met before, and Armani joked that they should work together.
Do you ever make shops?
No.
Stores?
Yes. Yes. For you, yes. Allora, traduci qua. Dammi la...
Giorgio Armani has not slacked off a bit. At 71, he has no plans to retire, and he's still a perfectionist who cares about every element of how his collection is presented. He takes nothing for granted. Every year, you turn out these beautiful collections. Are you ever afraid, what if the next one nobody likes?
Sono terrorizzato. Really. Comunque.
Of course, there's not much mystery about where Robert Redford found the name for this 6,000-acre retreat high in the mountains of Utah.
What was hard about it was a pretty tough name to beat. And I tried all kinds of other names, and finally I thought, you have to give in to the fact that it's just a great name.
Raindrops keep falling on my head.
Well, that ought to do it.
The 1969 film, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, is considered a classic.
Think you used enough dynamite there, Butch?
With Redford, of course, as Sundance, and Paul Newman as Butch Cassidy.
What's the matter with you? I can't swim!
A pair of lovable outlaws. But not many people know that Redford almost didn't get the part.
I read some story that at one point they talked about teaming Marlon Brando with Paul Newman in that movie.
Oh God, I think everybody. I think I was so much the last choice. I think they tried.
Way.
No, I was. They tried everything to keep me out of the picture because I wasn't known compared to Paul.
His role as the Sundance Kid changed all that. Redford, who'd grown up in California, then went to Europe to study art and kind of fell into acting, was suddenly a big star, and life became very different.
Suddenly you realize that you were being treated like an object, and the danger to your psyche was that if you didn't pay attention and you didn't stay clear, you would begin to behave like one. And if you did that too long, you might end up becoming one, So I thought, you better look out for that.
He made some calculated choices, while he continued to star in mainstream movies like The Way We Were.
How do you do, old sport? I'm Gatsby.
And The Great Gatsby. There were also like Downhill Racer and The Candidate. And it was Redford who personally pushed to get All the President's Men made, where he and Dustin Hoffman, investigative reporters Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein.
There is no way the White House can control the investigation.
It took 4 years. Yeah. And the studio didn't. They said politics. I don't think so. Watergate is a dead issue, and I said it's not. It's a detective story and about the American trait of hard work. And hard work led to something that spared us the loss of our First Amendment. That, to me, is worth making. I picked a spot that I thought was special.
Redford's experience with those hard-to-make films and his love of this dramatic Utah landscape led him to one of his most important off-screen roles, founding the Sundance Institute to help young filmmakers develop their craft.
So it finally occurred to me when I started the Institute and I watched how artists were here, and I thought, this is it, is a place for artists and the environment.
Roll camera.
This year, the Sundance Institute celebrates its 25th anniversary. A quarter of a century of workshops where acting, directing,
action,
screenwriting, and editing are all honed.
Hi, Bob. Hi, how are you?
The money comes from Redford himself, as well as fundraising and grants. The idea is to help nurture smaller, so-called independent films, which big studios ignored for years.
Well, there's that one scene that I don't want to...
Hollywood personalities like Christine Lottie, who first came here for an acting workshop, returned to coach newcomers.
Are you aware of his interest in you, his more amorous interest in you? My specialty is helping these young directors learn a vocabulary to talk to their actors. And being an actor myself and having directed, I know a lot about it.
Like most pros who donate their time here, she does it in part because of Robert Redford.
He has nurtured independent filmmaking like no one else. He's really put his money where his mouth is, and I have a huge amount of respect for him.
And you're on the phone, you got the phone to your ear because she's talking to you.
Victoria Mahoney says that being one of 8 chosen from 3,000 applicants to participate in the director's workshop will make it easier for her to raise the money she needs to make her movie.
I think the film will be made sooner. Maybe it won't take 10 more years to get a whisper in someone's ear, to get a phone call returned.
Several successful movies got made after being worked on at the Institute, including Reservoir Dogs and Boys Don't Cry.
Oh, what do you usually talk about on these days? Okay.
And other independent films like Sex, Lies, and Videotape and Little Miss Sunshine have been launched at an offshoot of the Sundance Institute, the Sundance Film Festival.
It is a lot of fun. You gotta say that.
Is it really?
Come.
Are
Yeah,
you
the
having a good time?
atmosphere is fun.
You're
Yeah,
not bored now?
I'm
Bored? Who could be bored? The film festival, which actually takes place in Park City, about an hour away from Sundance, was created by Redford to showcase independent feature films and documentaries.
When it first started, a lot of people weren't coming in to see the movies. How'd you get them to come and watch the movies?
I can't tell you everything I did. It's shameful. But when I used to really, a lot of people think I'm kidding, but we stand in the corner and tell people, you ought to go and see this movie.
Now it's become an international happening, a chance to party and to see celebrities.
Hey, how you doing? So relaxed. Oh, nice shuffle. Here we're shuffling.
Redford says the hoopla can be overwhelming, but it has not altered the original purpose of the festival.
And to say, look, we're into discovering these new voices and we're bringing their work to you. You decide whether you like it or not. But you have such a wide choice, it makes it an exciting place to be.
I think a certain number of people come out here because this festival has the Robert Redford cachet, whether you like to admit that or not. You've got to know that's true.
What do you think that is?
Kind of hip and cool. And
Really?
Yeah,
I'm
really.
so pleased.
First time you've ever heard it, huh?
I heard it when I was younger, but it was always in the worst possible context when I was standing in a principal's office. Or something, you know? Also, I like to ski.
You got
Hello.
Redford may try to play it down, but he is still very much the center of attention at the festival. And fledgling directors like Joseph Matthew credit him with drawing attention to their work.
Yeah, I would even call it like a miracle, you know? Like.
We rode with Matthew to the Sundance premiere of his documentary about immigration crossing Arizona.
And we just stand there and create a deterrence, you know? A line of people who say no mas.
What could grow out of being here and showing your film at the festival?
For me personally, I would hope that the next film will be a little bit easier to make, you know? Won't have to put everything on my credit card.
Indeed, having a film showcased at Sundance is a definite status symbol, something that Redford obviously relishes as he goes into his, dare we say, advanced years. You know, we've talked about this being a big year for Sundance, 25 years, big anniversary, but this is a big year for you too. You hit 70 years old. I can hardly believe.
I can't either.
Do you feel like you're 70
you
years
just killed
old?
this interview. Yeah, no, I can't, honest to God. I'm not being falsely this or that. It's hard for me to, I can't get a hold of that. But
Do you think that being involved in Sundance has had a toll on your own career?
it has, absolutely. It's set. Now, I've not been able to do as many films as I'd like to make because of a commitment to Sundance that grew larger than I imagined, and when you commit, you commit.
But Redford, who is divorced, the father of 3 grown children, and now a grandfather, still has plenty of star power. And he's got several new acting and directing projects going, including a film he's hoping to do with his old partner from both Butch Cassidy and The Sting.
You seem like you have had just a great life. Do you think you have?
Better than most. I've enjoyed it a lot. The good and the bad. It's all been a great education.
What do you think it is that pushes you? What makes you keep going?
It's the idea that if you can do more, you should.
So this is where it all began.
This is where it all began. Little did I know.
Marilyn mania.
So a restaurant critic walks into an Olive Garden.
Enjoy your dinner.
Thank you.
If that sounds like the first line of a joke, to many it is.
Tastes very good to me.
But it's Marilyn Hagerty's job. She writes the weekly Eat Beat column in the Grand Forks Herald. See, there aren't all that many places to eat in this North Dakota town. So Marilyn works with what she's got, reviewing them all. From fine dining to the Big Sioux truck stop.
I'd like a Big Mac.
And yes, even the occasional drive-through.
There's nice pickles in here and
You got pickles?
lettuce that's floating all over.
If you wrote just for the top fine dining restaurants, how long could you go on?
I figured about 5 weeks.
For 30 years, she's had a good following of readers who liked her plain, factual style.
There are so many choices at Wendy's that it makes your head swirl.
Reviewing Wendy's,
I'm not sure why, but I like the distinctive square shape of Wendy's burgers, a dab of rice, a piece of salmon, an egg roll.
the Great Wall Buffet,
Skip the chicken on a stick.
and Mexican Village.
It's the home of the Norwegian taco, $5.59.
But her Olive Garden write-up went viral, read on the internet by millions, who had a good laugh over the elderly woman who wrote a glowing review.
It's fashioned in Tuscan farmhouse style with a welcoming entryway. All in all, it is the largest and most beautiful restaurant now operating in Grand Forks.
When you first heard it went viral, what was your reaction?
Well, I didn't know what viral was, of course. Then when someone told me that I had 1.3 million hits that first day, well...
God.
First came a wave of snarky messages about the review.
The critics in Denver sent the message saying, your column is pathetic. I just said, thank you for your comment. I appreciate your interest. And I thought, I'll hold him.
But the jeering sarcasm was met by a huge backlash of support for Marilyn.
By the time I got home that afternoon, they were all saying nice things, and they don't like to see that kind of criticism. I mean, you know, this was snide criticism.
What did you like most about Olive Garden?
Marilyn was invited to appear on national TV shows.
Marilyn, please announce the winner.
The late Al Newhart, founder of USA Today, called.
He wanted to make his annual award for excellence in journalism to me. I said, could not believe that.
But wait, there's more. A book deal with celebrity chef, author, and TV star Anthony Bourdain, who published the book and wrote the introduction.
Look, it was just so refreshing. To have somebody write in a straightforward way, supportive of the community, that earnestness, that lack of guile, that lack of look at me, interjecting yourself into the story.
And at 87, she still does it all.
Hi.
With the energy of someone 40, 50, make that 60 years younger.
Hey, you two guys.
Marilyn writes 5 columns a week, including Eat Beat.
So we start with this little feller, huh?
Plays bridge as often as 3 times a week.
I'd like an overpriced hot dog.
And never misses a University of North Dakota basketball game.
Hi, good morning.
At the newspaper, Marilyn is something of a star.
Marilyn is an icon.
Marcia Gunderson says regular readers have broken the code for Marilyn's always positive column.
If she doesn't talk too much about the food and she talks about napkins and silverware in bathrooms, you know the food isn't good.
This evening at the Olive Garden, the napkins were good and the restroom spotless.
This is very good.
Is it?
The Zuppa Toscana was most impressive.
You know, for one thing, it's nice and piping hot.
Oh, it's here.
All right, yeah.
We split a dish called a tour of Italy.
The normal serving would be both of these.
Really?
An extensive tour.
How is it?
Very good. Very good. Some people feel like they have to complain about food. It's got to be pretty bad before I don't like it.
Leave it to Marilyn to always find something nice to say. Viral or not.
How did writing the Mary Tyler Moore theme song come about?
I had a good friend who worked for the Williams and Price Agency, and he called me one day about 11 o'clock and said, they're going to do a situation comedy with Mary Tyler Moore, and they need a theme song. Are you interested? Why, sure. You know, and he dropped a 4-page treatment, if you will.
A synopsis, basically.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Off at my house. It was just this young girl gets jilted in this small community in the Midwest, and she moves to the big city of Minneapolis, gets a job at a news station, and rents an apartment she has a hard time affording, and that was about it. So I honed in on the part that she was rented an apartment she had a hard time affording, and wrote "How Will You Make It on Your Own?"
Oh, so that's where it comes, right?
Yeah.
How will you make it on your own without a roommate, which doesn't scan as well?
Yeah, this world is awfully big, and girl, this time you're all alone. You know. Anyway, I called him a couple of hours later, and I said, "Who do I sing this to?" And he said, he sent me to see James L. Brooks,
the producer.
The producer, but he said, we're not nearly to that part of the show yet. We're not to choosing the theme song, but I listened to what you have. I got my guitar out and I sang it to him, and he said, he smiled and said, sing that again. There was a black telephone on the floor, and he got on that telephone and started calling people. And I had to sing it about 10 times, and before I left that afternoon, the room was full of people standing all around the walls.
Just coming out, bringing more and more people in. He's calling people, come in here.
And he said, I need a cassette player. And I thought, I believe I got a shot at this. Who can turn the world on with her smile? Who can take a nothing day and suddenly make it all seem worthwhile? Well, it's you, girl, and you should know it. With each glance and every little movement you show it. Love is all around, no need to waste it. You can have the town, why don't you take it? You're gonna make it after all.
Come on. Come on.
It's how you might imagine Jane Goodall to be.
Stop screaming at me.
We just met and were setting up, but the famed naturalist was more focused on a visit from a robin
There you are.
than our camera crew.
Oops, hello, bee.
She first learned about the bees and, yes, the birds here at her childhood home in Bournemouth, England. You grew up looking out on this garden, dreaming of another world.
Yep, I did.
And she found it in the Gombe rainforest of Tanzania, where her groundbreaking work studying chimpanzees in the 1960s made her a National Geographic cover girl. At age 87, she can still be found on the front of magazines and running a conservation empire. Her Jane Goodall Institute, dedicated to protecting wildlife and the environment, has chapters in 24 countries. And there's Roots and Shoots, a program to engage youth around the world. Goodall's own fascination with animals started when she was a kid, spending hours in this tree with library books.
I read Tarzan up there. There was no TV back then. That's when my dream began. I'll go to Africa, live with animals, write books about them. That was it. No intention of being a scientist, because girls didn't do that sort of thing.
She started as a secretary, then landed a job as an assistant to paleoanthropologist Louis Leakey. He was on the lookout for a, quote, fresh pair of eyes and fiery spirit.
I clearly was passionate. I clearly had an understanding of animals, and he felt that women might be better in the field, that we might be more patient. Also, he wanted somebody who hadn't been to college, so he wanted an unbiased mind.
Leakey raised money for Goodall to spend 6 months in the jungle studying chimpanzees in Tanzania. Little was known about them at the time. So these were your earliest observations? Goodall filled stacks of journals with notes.
I transcribe these every night.
Wow, look at this, 37, 38, 39, 40. Every minute you were noting the behavior. Yes. Crucially, she witnessed the chimps fashioning and using tools, something believed until then was unique to humans. Did you realize that what you were seeing was so extraordinary?
I knew that it was going to make a huge impact. In fact, a lot of people refused to believe it. Why should they believe this young girl? She hadn't even been to college.
But editors at National Geographic were intrigued.
They sent a photographer, cameraman, Hugo van Lauwijk. And when his film started doing the rounds, showing the chimps using little twigs to fish for termites, they had to believe.
There was a directive from National Geographic to not only focus on the chimpanzees, but for Hugo to focus on you.
I know.
Did that bother you?
Well, it was frustrating, but, oh, Jane, I want you washing your hair. Oh, could you wash it again? I didn't get the light right.
This is funny. In a wilderness boudoir, Miss Goodall lathers her blonde hair with water pure enough to drink.
It put me in a limelight that I did not want. But then there was all this press about, oh, she's only, got money from the Geographic because she's got nice legs and things.
Did you feel objectified?
It was just a different world. And so, well, if it's my legs, truly, that have helped me get money to study the chimps, thank you, legs.
That photographer became her husband, and they had a son together. And in her decades-long study, those chimps also became much more to her.
Ollie, grumpy old JB, Flo with little Flint.
It's almost like you're showing me family photos.
Yeah, I know.
Chimpanzees share 99% of humans' DNA. The difference, Goodall points out, is the development of our intellect.
Which makes it utterly absurd that this most intellectual of all creatures on the planet is destroying its only home.
That's your mission now.
Yes, the effects of climate change, the hurricanes, the typhoons, the flooding, the fires. So the key important thing is to give people hope that we can get through, because if you don't have hope, why bother?
She's written a new book on hope and calls it a survival guide for trying times. It's part of her race to reach as many people as possible.
This planet, it doesn't have infinite natural resources. They're finite. They can come to an end. So what's going to happen if we carry on with business as usual?
Pre-pandemic, Goodall says she was on the road 300 days a year. Now she lectures and holds meetings from her room in the attic. Virtual Jane, as she calls herself. Do you want to be this busy?
No.
Really?
No.
Why do you do it?
Because there's a message to get out, and I'm getting older, and there's less time left ahead of me, and the world's falling to pieces.
You feel this urgency?
Yes, I do.
It means a lot of talking.
Have another sip.
She says whiskey soothes her vocal cords.
I don't want to turn into a couch potato.
A daily walk soothes pretty much everything else.
You can't just sit all day. It's ridiculous.
I can't imagine that you've ever sat all day.
Not really, no. Hello, seagulls.
Here along the English Channel, it's again clear she's drawn to the natural world, but protecting that means shifting her attention.
So now I have to speak to bankers and lawyers, CEOs and politicians.
What do you say?
I tell them stories. I try and reach the heart. People have to change from within.
And that change, Goodall says, can start small.
Everybody can do something. I mean, when you go shopping, you can ask yourself, did this product harm the environment when it was made? Was it cruel to animals? Is it cheap? Why is it cheap? Is it cheap because of unfair wages?
You're asking people to do a lot.
Well, why not? If they care about the future, especially if they've got children, you don't have to do it all. You know, even if you just pick one thing, like eating less meat, you just do something.
Oh, no. Is this the best they could offer? Oh, geez, I'd hope for something with at least decent features.
In the last 4 decades, Diane Keaton has played quirky, outsider, radical, harried, maternal, independent.
You're an incredibly complex woman.
I guess you could say I'm half saint, half whore.
Infusing every character with a lot of Diane Keaton.
You play very well.
Oh, yeah? So do you. Oh, God, what a dumb thing to say, right? I mean, you say it, you play well, and then right away I have to say you play well. Oh.
Her Oscar-winning turn came in Annie Hall in 1977.
La-di-da, la-di-da, la-la, yeah.
I never said la-di-da in my life until he wrote it. But I was a person who couldn't complete a sentence, so he did get that right.
Welcome back to Daybreak. And in her new movie, Morning Glory, she plays Colleen Peck, morning show anchor.
I still have standards, unfortunately for you.
Suppose I don't have standards?
Sure you do. When you got your pap smear on air, you wore a silk robe.
Okay!
Classy touch.
And we're
back. I mean, obviously, I want to emulate you.
Oh, yeah,
Give me a
sure.
chance.
I thought you were a good anchor.
You did?
I did.
How about, though, the way I delivered the lines, though? A little dicey, because, you know, I lead with my personality, Diane's personality, and I feel like it's okay for me to have the run on, you know, in life, Diane. But you can't do that with what you do. You cannot.
So I don't have to worry about you
No, and you
kind
also
of
have to
being
be
on my
brilliant.
heels?
No, I'm not. I can't do it.
Of course not, because the only thing she's really ever wanted to do is sing.
I wanted to sing. I thought I was going to be a singer. And I did everything I could to be a singer.
This is the dawning of the age of...
And sing she did, on Broadway no less, in the musical Hair. She was 22.
You know, singing. And
Do you have a good voice, by the way?
Oh, yeah, it's great. No, of course not.
Well, it must be
But it was
pretty
good
good
enough.
if you had fantasies
Oh,
of
I had
becoming a
tons of
singer.
fantasies. Oh, yeah, tons of fantasies. I did have a little solo, and my song was Black Boys Are Delicious. Black boys are delicious, chocolate-flavored treats. Licorice lips like candy, keep my cocoa handy. Yeah, so that's what I sang. I don't think I'm going to get any jobs singing anytime soon. I'd like to. I still have aspirations.
Really?
Yeah. Do you think I have a chance?
I don't know, but I think being
Can
able
I
to
try
sing,
again?
Yeah,
Give
go
me
ahead.
a shot.
Yeah, knock yourself out, Diane. Go ahead. Somebody's watching.
Oh my God. Yeah, somewhere.
At the time, someone was watching. Woody Allen. Allen and Keaton would go on to form one of the great on-screen, off-screen partnerships of the 1970s. But first, Keaton would have to measure up, literally.
I had a huge crush on Woody right from the moment I saw him. I was auditioning for Play It Again, Sam, and he was 5'7". You know, he was a relatively short, he is a relatively short fellow. So they put his head down and they measured us. And I got the part because I wasn't taller than he was. So, you know, this is like the way it began. And he was hilarious.
Now come near me, I'm warning you. He gets it right between the eyes.
He'll do it. He'll do it. I've seen him shoot a nose.
And in Keaton, Woody Allen had found his foil.
Sucker. You don't realize that you've been dealing with one of the greatest minds you've ever seen.
Yeah, and his isn't so bad either.
Yeah.
Take 1973's Sleeper.
I just liked being his stupid sidekick. I loved it. He would say things like, you can't even do a joke. And he's right. So he was very smart about it. And he would like have me set up the joke for him. That's what I'm good at. Being the idiot.
Diane Keaton is the master of self-deprecation, but in truth, she's not unlike her character in Something's Gotta Give.
You're a tower of strength.
She's lived life on her own terms. She's always worked, never married, and didn't start a family until she turned 50.
You know, I'm a late developer.
Keaton says her mother, Dorothy, who died in 2008, encouraged her daughter to just be herself and go for it. It was unexpected guidance from a woman who represented domestic perfection.
My mother was Mrs. Los Angeles.
I know, and Mrs. Highland Park before
that,
right?
Can't forget that. I mean, that's a very moving thing.
Your life is in such stark contrast to your mom's, who was sort of a domestic goddess, if you will.
She was the kind of mother who was the great enabler. And she was always supporting me, every single thing that I ever did. I mean, we were partners.
If Keaton's mom thought her eldest daughter ought to be in pictures, not everyone agreed.
I would always fail because they would always say to me, "You're too kooky." And so you don't get the part because you're too kooky.
Where
and
did
then
they get
to
that
be
idea?
Because I was a little off center. Oh, you're making fun. That's really not nice.
Just kidding.
Anyway, of course, just kidding.
Then in 1972, The Godfather happened.
Michael? That man over there is talking to himself.
I felt I was miscast.
This one time, I'll let you ask me about my affairs.
Well, when you watched that movie, or when you watched it initially, did you still feel that way?
There's the only thing I thought about when I saw me, not the movie is absolutely brilliant, was the wig is horrible.
What was it like working with Al Pacino? Because you guys were involved in a
Obviously,
relationship.
Hello. No, not then.
Not then?
No, but I would have liked it. I'll be frank. I mean, he was beautiful and so talented, and oh my God, yeah, I had a big crush.
Things didn't heat up for them romantically until after The Godfather Part 2, but they proved to be two very different people.
Al was more of a real actor, kind of really about acting, always. Al was the kind of guy that if you're around him, he'd read Shakespeare. Get it? Like he's doing The Merchant of Venice. I mean, hello? I couldn't stand doing anything like that ever.
Really?
Are you kidding? Night after night, doing a play? I'd rather, that's like my idea of hell.
Keaton appreciates the many chances movie making gives her. And Warren Beatty, another longtime love, taught her you can never do too many takes when they starred in the movie Reds nearly 30 years ago.
I don't know if you ever saw that train station scene, but we must have done that 64 times, and I only got it on the last take. So my feeling about a lot of takes is count me in, because maybe you're going to save me, you know?
What is your relationship like with these people now, Diana? You know, do they stay in your life? Do you have friendships with these guys?
Some. Woody is a friend. He's a friend. I saw him last night here in New York. I don't really see Al. I don't see Warren. But I have great memories of them, and it's fun to see Warren as a father and Al as well. Both people that you never thought of as parents are now parents.
And you, of course, are a mom now, too. You have two kids, Dexter and Duke, right?
Right.
You adopted your first child when you were 50. What motivated you to do that at that point in your life?
Well, it had a lot to do with my father's passing. Because I think, quite frankly, that I liked being a daughter. I really enjoyed being a daughter. I don't think I wanted to be somebody who could take those parenthood on until I had to accept that I had to move on.
Why do you think you never got married?
I think that the reason I didn't get married was because I would have to compromise too much. I think I took my cue from my mother there. I didn't want to have that. I wanted to try more adventurous things for myself, and I think that I didn't know how, and I was also afraid of men.
Really?
Oh yeah. I was afraid of men, yes. I was always being turned down or overlooked, and I saw myself as kind of a victim in that area. Yeah, it was hard for me to kind of compromise. I think I wasn't really marriage material.
Do you regret that?
Yeah, in some ways I do.
Today, at 64, Diane Keaton's life is full of work, family, friends, all lovingly draped in her nonstop stream of consciousness and her own inimitable charm.
You still seem to have that insecurity thing and unsure of yourself.
Yeah, it's in there. It's the DNA. But I'm going to fight it. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to try as many things as I possibly can, except for flying. I don't want to fly. I talk to the pilots. They all look at me like I'm crazy. But I think they're crazy. So how do you like that? I don't want to fly. I want to be adventurous, but I don't want to fly.
Are you okay?
No, I'm obviously not. I think I need to sleep. Somebody's got to put me down. Put her down.
I know you're good.
We caught up with the former vice president in one of his favorite spots, drifting down the South Fork of the Snake River in Idaho.
Swimming in.
Fly rod in hand, matching wits with the trout.
Got him.
What'd you get?
Cutthroat. No matter what other worries or problems you may have or dealing with, you really focus on what you're doing and put all your other cares aside. They don't count as much when you're out here.
Not too long ago, this kind of retirement for Dick Cheney, not far from his home in scenic Jackson Hole, Wyoming, looked pretty iffy. His failing heart used to get almost as many headlines as he did. But in 2012, this grandfather of 7 got a heart transplant, and suddenly everything changed.
I just was back in for my 3-year checkup. It's nothing short of miraculous.
At 74, he's regained the look of his days in office, reminders of which popped up again last month with the release of these previously unseen photos. They were taken on September 11th, 2001, showing Mr. Cheney first dealing with the crisis in the White House bunker, then being whisked away to that now famous undisclosed location.
It was, a remarkable day, a tragic day in terms of the loss of life and the extraordinary set of circumstances we had to face with.
And a day that shaped one of the most controversial vice presidencies in history.
How'd that day change you personally? Not from a policy standpoint, but change you?
Well, it's been alleged by some of my friends that 9/11 did change Cheney, that when he was a Secretary of Defense in the first Bush administration, he was a warm, pleasant, lovable fellow, and he became more of a hard rock afterwards. And I think it's probably true. It changed the way I looked at the world.
The way he looks at the world is pretty well known by now. Dick Cheney is unapologetically hawkish.
The rest of our troops in Iraq will come home by the end of the year.
He was an early critic of the Obama administration's national security policy, especially the troop withdrawal from Iraq and Afghanistan.
The mindset is hard for me to understand. I think we have to recognize that it's a dangerous world, that it's more dangerous than it has been before, and that those threats out there we're faced with are increasing while we strip ourselves of the ability to deal with it.
Mr. Cheney is renewing his criticism of Mr. Obama with the help of his daughter, Liz, a former State Department official and one-time Senate candidate. In their upcoming book, Exceptional, published by Simon & Schuster, division of CBS, they accuse Mr. Obama of retreating from the world's problems, diminishing America's power as the threat of terrorism rises.
This is a pretty harsh criticism of a sitting president.
Well, it is a necessary criticism, I think, is the way we both feel about it. That, it's not an attack on him as a person, but it's very much sort of raising the alarm about the policies.
Take, for instance, their criticism of the president's recent nuclear deal with Iran.
With this deal, we cut off every single one of Iran's pathways to a nuclear program.
You say of the deal that the Obama agreement will, 1, lead to a nuclear-armed Iran, 2, a nuclear arms race in the Middle East, and 3, the first use of a nuclear weapon since Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's a pretty daunting prediction.
I think we say it may well lead to the first use of a nuclear weapon since Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And the reality, as my dad has described, is that this deal makes war more, not less likely.
But think about what kind of a regime it is. They've violated virtually every agreement they've ever been a party to. I don't think they can be trusted. I think they've demonstrated that repeatedly.
The book is an expanded version of an op-ed that Cheney's wrote for the Wall Street Journal last year, where they laid out an argument that many of the GOP presidential hopefuls are now campaigning on. That the rise of the Islamic State is Mr. Obama's fault.
Barack Obama became president and he abandoned Iraq. ISIS was created because of the void that we left.
Are you really laying the spread of ISIS at the president's feet?
I think the spread of ISIS was a direct result of the vacuum that was created when the Obama administration withdrew all forces from Iraq. We turned our backs on Iraq. We had Iraq in good shape. By the time we left office, even Obama said as much.
Initially, it was President Bush who agreed to a troop withdrawal deadline, although he did so reluctantly. Iraq's Prime Minister, Nouri al-Maliki, had objected to the idea of any U.S. troops staying beyond 2011.
Well, you talk about the problem being that there was no stay-behind force, that some would argue that the real problem was that we went into Iraq in the first place.
Well, I'm well known as somebody who strongly defended that. I thought it was the right thing to do, and I still believe that.
It wouldn't change anything.
No. Indeed, there was widespread support at the time, and it was justified.
That support was based largely on the administration's argument that Iraq possessed weapons of mass destruction, an argument that later proved to be wrong. That false premise became a key issue in Mr. Obama's 2008 presidential campaign.
Did the president get any credit for trying, while still recognizing the sacrifice that was made, trying to end two wars that have gone on even longer than you thought they would go on? Does he get any credit for trying to end that?
Well, I gave him credit, for example, when they got Osama bin Laden, I think. But you don't end a war. If you end a war just by walking away from it, that's victory for the other side.
Some of his fellow Republicans, however, are uneasy with the intelligence policies the Cheneys want the next president to bring back, including the enhanced interrogation techniques that a Senate panel deemed torture.
First of all, it wasn't torture. The waterboarding, for example, torture, that was the most egregious thing we did, supposedly, in the enhanced interrogation program. It was the most significant source of intelligence for us that we absolutely had to have, and that was on Al-Qaeda, how big they were, where they were, who their leaders were, what their plans were, and so forth. All of that came out of enhanced interrogation.
What do you say to those who say, yes, perhaps they worked, but we sacrificed our values in the process?
Well, first of all, I don't believe we sacrificed our values. I think the number one responsibility of senior public officials is to safeguard the nation.
Nearly 7 years out of office, Mr. Cheney remains a man not eager to make either apologies or skirt controversy.
You know, if you just nothing but warmth and friendliness and so forth, seriously can't deal with the kinds of issues that I've had to deal with over the years and that I wanted to deal with. It's almost, I think, if you are criticism free, then you're probably not doing your job.
For his daughter, that unyielding nature is one of the most appealing things about him.
I know of no one who has been more courageous and dedicated and honorable than my dad in terms of being willing to say, this is absolutely what we have to do, this is the right thing to do, you know, and sometimes when nobody else was willing to do it. You know, I know for all of us who love you, the gratitude as Americans that we feel is matched only by our love for him. Don't look at me like that.
Well, no, thank you.
His matter-of-fact veneer almost cracked there for a moment.
What do you think is the most surprising thing about your dad that folks don't know?
That the hitch cover on his pickup truck is Darth Vader.
It is not, is it really?
It is. I don't know who put it on. I haven't found out yet. But,
we checked, and yes, on the back of his black F-350 pickup, it's there. The symbol of the villainous dark side that even became a bit for Jon Stewart's final show.
I am more machine than man, but it has come to my attention you have been comparing me to Dick Cheney. That seems a bit harsh.
So it's a point of pride in some ways for you.
Well, in a sense, you have to have a sense of humor about the business.
Dad, this is a nice rod.
Yeah, it is. I just bought it last year.
His guides back on the Snake River often say that Mr. Cheney picked the hardest fish to catch in the toughest conditions. The more challenging, the better. His approach to politics seems just as targeted. Whatever you think of Dick Cheney, he's clearly not ready to hang out the gun fishing sign for good.
What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, I don't know. I think I'll let the historians worry about that. I feel like I did the best I could under extraordinary circumstances, and I'm satisfied with that.
You'll have them forever. Wow.
It is a moment that these famed actors have never forgotten. The one time during Laura Dern's childhood that her mother, Diane Ladd, slapped her.
Because I guess I should have slapped her more.
Oh my God, please.
You just lost it from me. Yeah, she was being a little bitchy. And
Oh my
I
God,
had had a bitchy
CBS
day.
Sunday Morning.
And I'd had a horrible day. And it just was like, I'm doing
She was
all
being
this.
sassy. Say that.
Okay, she was being sassy, really sassy. Do you think you remember this so much because it was the only time this ever happened?
It feels like such a betrayal because it's so shocking.
It is these memories of humor, pain, and unquestionable love that fill the pages of Honey, Baby Mine, their joint memoir, named for an old folk song Ladd's father used to sing.
You get a line and I'll get a pole. We'll go down to the crawdad hole, honey, baby mine. That's the song.
Ladd, now 87, is renowned for roles like the waitress Flo in Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, one of 3 Oscar-nominated performances.
You don't like me very much, do you? Not very much, no. Honey, that's okay. I've been dumped on by kings in my time.
So you have to be perfect,
And 56-year-old Dern is an Oscar winner.
you will always be held to a different, higher standard. And it's but that is the way it is.
For playing a divorce lawyer representing the wife in Marriage Story.
Is this where you guys walked in this general area?
It is, every single morning.
That's right.
And the story of how their book came to be is worthy of a Hollywood film. The daily walks in Santa Monica began when Ladd developed a lung disease, believed to be caused by exposure to pesticides.
You were told that your mother only had 6 months to live.
Yeah. They didn't know what they could do, except if we could get her to walk, it would help her expand her lungs.
So they walked and they talked, with Laura taping the conversations for herself and her children, the discussions newly recorded for an audiobook version.
I'm going to pretend that this street is water, and I got Jesus' ability to walk on it, okay?
Listen, if that's what you need to cross the street.
Why did you decide to make these very private conversations public?
I think we share the longing for the people we love and anyone to have the experience we had, which was to know each other better, more deeply,
And ourselves at the
and
same
more
time.
authentically, and
Yeah.
therefore ourselves, exactly.
They discussed everything, starting with Diane's marriage and divorce from Laura's father, actor Bruce Dern, to her efforts to discourage Laura from joining the family business.
She was only like 11 years old. I said, don't be an actress. Be a doctor. Be a lawyer. I said, get a real job. No, nobody cares if you put on weight or your chin points when you cry. If you're a doctor, they just want you to be the best you can be. But the actors, they care. So, Laura, you heard this, but you were not to be discouraged. There was no stopping you.
No, it is all I knew.
And rumor has it you were conceived during the making of a movie.
Conceived during the making of a Roger Corman biker picture called The Wild Angels. So yes, for me, a set felt like a second home.
Mama,
A home they often shared,
you know who that was.
working together on a number of movies and TV shows.
And I mean are not gonna see him ever. End of story.
What was it like for you to suddenly realize, okay,
I'm in this with my mother.
I remember on the set of David Lynch's film Wild at Heart, and Nicolas Cage came up behind me and whispers in my ear, "That's your mom," like your real mom.
In the 1991 film Rambling Rose, Dern plays a promiscuous young girl living with Ladd's family.
Oh, hello, Rose, dear. Wow. My, you're looking pretty.
Both mother and daughter were nominated for Academy Awards, but Ladd has a better memory.
This was the picture that the late Princess Diana chose as her absolute favorite, and she flew Laura and I to London for a royal premiere and a party in our honor, and she sat between us, holding both our hands and crying, watching us perform.
But Ladd still agonizes over the times work took her away from her daughter and the other challenges she, along with so many single moms, faced.
How to pay the rent, how to get my daughter what she needs. And worse, because you got to go out for an interview and you got to hold your head up. You better not have a rip in that stocking. You better have those shoes not run down. You've got to put on an image.
And though Dern felt lucky she was cared for by her grandmother, Ladd's mom, she still grieved when her mother was on location.
And I knew she loved me, but the loneliness was real. One of the hardest things for me as a working mother in the same profession when I became a parent was that I held guilt that I still don't know what's my children's loneliness or my own.
And Dern's love for her own children, Jaya and Ellery, with her former husband, musician Ben Harper, has made her understand even more the grief that Ladd felt over losing a daughter before Dern was born. This was a baby who died in a swimming pool accident where a nanny hadn't paid enough attention.
She fell into the pool. She hit her head, knocked herself out. And it all happened instantly. And she died. And you will never get over that. I don't care what you say to yourself. I don't care who says what. The child is not supposed to die before the parent.
You'd never talked about
Never.
it.
That's right.
And I had not asked because I thought I was going to hurt you. And that was a lesson that I would want to share with everyone.
Yes.
That if we talk it out, there is healing of all kinds.
Absolutely.
In fact, Diane Ladd has proved her doctors wrong. She continues to heal. Just completed the film, in fact. And mother and daughter have a lot more to say.
You make me happy.
And sing to each other.
You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Do, 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 do. That's it, folks.
This ancient place, is this a place you think Shakespeare himself could have come to?
Without question. I mean, look at it.
Great stories demand great storytellers. And for the movie Shakespeare in Love, celebrated playwright Tom Stoppard fit the bill.
The show must go on.
With co-writer Mark Norman, Stoppard revealed Shakespeare the man behind Shakespeare the icon.
Master Shakespeare.
Romeo, a young man of Verona. A comedy by William Shakespeare. My lady! Who's that?
Shakespeare in Love is an imaginary tale of what might have happened after Shakespeare began writing a play called Romeo and Ethel, the Pirate's Daughter.
What's it called? Romeo and Ethel, the Pirate's Daughter. What is the story? Well, there's this pirate.
We knew all along that the real center of the story is the way that Will Shakespeare, who at the beginning is trying to write a comedy, is guided by the events of his own emotional life into writing the greatest love tragedy ever written.
Okay, and action!
The director of Shakespeare in Love, John Madden, trusted Stoppard's ability to take on William Shakespeare.
There are a few writers who could get away with putting words into that man's mouth, in my view, and he's certainly one of them. There's just a sort of effortless appropriation of the idiom that manages to render the language and the experience in the film extremely modern and yet completely true to the writing and the era that he's dealing with.
My lord.
The main pleasure is that this relatively small romantic comedy, which we had a lot of faith in, was delivered in a form which it was meant to have. It was intended to be a film of wide appeal.
And it was. Audiences and awards have been bountiful.
I mean, I never saw so much hoopla. Anyway,
Are you excited by all of the success?
Well, it is quite thrilling. It's sometimes quite overwhelming. Judi Dench was saying the other day that she'd heard about the red carpet and all that, but she had no idea that it was such a long carpet. I moved to London when I was 20, in my early 20s.
London's Royal National Theatre has been home to Stoppard for over 3 decades. From Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead to last year's The Invention of Love.
Before I ever had a play put on, and I just wanted to be a playwright in a completely vain, abstract sense, it seemed to me that having a play on at the National Theatre, for example, was some kind of Everest which only a chosen few could ever even hope to aspire to. And the first time I had a play on at the National Theatre, I sort of stood at the back and I just thought, oh, I see, now I get it. It's actually, it turns out to be something which can happen to people like me, not only to people like them. So you make this adjustment. You don't suddenly feel that you've joined the pantheon. If anything, the mountain has simply shrunk to a point where you can just step on it and you think, oh, how disappointing.
For decades, Tom Stoppard has been thought of as one of England's greatest playwrights. In fact, he was born in Czechoslovakia and fled from Hitler with his family to Singapore.
And when the Japanese entered the Second World War and they were converging on Singapore, the women and children were put on boats. And I think that the boat we were on was supposed to go to Australia, but in fact didn't and went to India. And the consequence was that my Czech father was killed in Singapore, not actually in Singapore. He was on a boat which got bombed and so on, but he died during the next few weeks, really.
Many thought Stoppard's screenplay for Steven Spielberg's Empire of the Sun was based on those personal experiences. But Stoppard adapted that story of a young boy in a Japanese concentration camp from a novel by J.G. Ballard. Stoppard has yet to write an autobiographical work.
When the regimes started to crumble in Eastern Europe, I began to find out much more about my own personal background than I had ever known before.
For instance, that his mother downplayed their Jewish heritage.
She had a completely practical sense, which I think was misplaced, that bringing her 2 little boys to England, she felt that we would have a hard time at school and so on if we were Jewish. I think she was completely wrong. I never really gave that a lot of thought until I was grown up.
Has it changed your sense of identity, your feelings about who you are?
You know, it hasn't. I've always sort of felt I knew who I was, and documentary evidence hasn't really affected that.
Currently, Stoppard's play Indian Ink is having its American premiere in San Francisco, hoping to follow the success of such plays as The Real Thing and Arcadia.
Are you writing a poem about India, Flora? Trying to.
Kipling! There's a poet. Though I belted you and flayed you by the living God...
Stoppard has always been intellectually stimulating. His critics, however, have found his work emotionally inaccessible.
I don't worry about it because I don't really buy into the idea that to do X, let's say, you know, emotional accessibility, is somehow better than doing Y, which is the discussion of some intellectual or metaphysical ideas. I mean, I don't sort of think of one as being somehow the failure of the other or the compensation for the other. People, they are what they write, much more than they are what they eat, you know? And you can't really do anything unless you're expressing your true self. And for better or worse, you're stuck with it. He's our greatest writer, there's no question about that. And
a great love of the theater is evident in Shakespeare in Love.
I am Hieronymo. I am Tamburlaine. I am Faustus. I am Barabbas. Oh yes, Master Will, I am Henry VI. What is the play and what is my part?
One moment.
That love, the fire, the passion, the great tradition continues from Shakespeare to Stoppard.
I need actors. Those of you
I think that it can take you out of yourself. It can make you forget where you are. Even if it does so for a few seconds, it's intensely valuable to your life.
If a home reflects its owner, then Rob Reiner's is a perfect fit. It's impressive but understated, grand but charming.
So Rob, do you have a green thumb?
Well, I don't have a green thumb, but the person who first owned this house was Henry Fonda.
Ah.
Henry Fonda actually planted all of these roses.
And like the house, Reiner himself stems from Hollywood royalty. The son of actor, writer, director, producer Carl Reiner, Rob, now 63, grew to follow in his father's footsteps, becoming one of Hollywood's most successful and respected filmmakers.
You know, there's very few people whose parents achieved in this business at a very high level, whose children also achieve at a high level. It's rare. I mean, you can count it on one hand.
These days, it takes too many fingers to count Rob Reiner's triumphs, from acting in television's All in the Family to directing hits like When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, and Misery.
I make movies about people that live on Earth. You know, nobody gets exploded. Nobody is running around chasing anything. Basically, they're people in rooms talking. You're sticking with Dad on this.
His latest film, Flipped, which opens this month, is no different.
The first day I met Bryce Losky, I flipped. It was those eyes. Something in those dazzling eyes.
The film chronicles two sides of a first crush.
I couldn't believe it. There I was, holding hands with this strange girl. How did I get into this mess?
Well, hello. I see you've met my son.
I basically tell the same love story over and over. Essentially what it is, the girl in the story is always much more emotionally mature. The boy is always running around like an idiot trying to catch up, trying to figure out what's going on.
And some would argue in real life that's totally true.
Well, it is. I mean, that's my story. I mean, basically, you know, my wife gave me, made me a person.
He and Michelle Singer have been married for 21 years and have 3 teenage children.
You're like half formed when you're a guy. You meet the right woman, and she basically helps you grow up.
Reiner says that today, just as his life has influenced his work, comedy has always influenced his life. After all, he grew up surrounded by his father's work buddies.
The great comic minds of the second half of the 20th century, Woody Allen and Mel Brooks and Neil Simon and my dad. And I was aware how funny things were, but I didn't think there was anything unusual about it. I just assumed that everybody, you know, this is what happened in everybody's house. It wasn't until I went over to my friend Paul Schindler's house when I realized things weren't as funny over there. They were a little funnier at my house.
It didn't take long for the young Reiner to realize he wanted to be just like Dad.
When I was about 8 years old, I said, "Dad, I want to change my name." And he got all upset. He was worried that it was difficult for me, that he didn't want, maybe I was feeling the burden of having to be his son. And he said to me, "Well, what do you want to change your name to?" And I said, "Carl."
Sure enough, before even turning 20, he started making his own name in comedy. He was partnered with another young comedian, Steve Martin, as a writing team on the controversial Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. Then, in 1971, at just 23, he was cast in the role of his life.
If your spicks and your spades want their rightful share of the American dream, let them get out there and hustle for it just like I did.
Yeah, but Archie, you're forgetting one thing. You didn't have to hustle with a black skin.
No, I didn't have to. I remember reading the script and thinking, this is such good writing. This is so edgy and so brilliant. There's no way that this is going to fly on American television.
Now I suppose you're going to tell me that the black man has had the same opportunity in this country as you?
More. He's had more. I didn't have no million people out there marching and protesting to get me my job.
No, his uncle got it for him.
It didn't just fly. All in the Family soared, with Reiner playing Mike Stivic, foil and son-in-law of working-class bigot Archie Bunker.
I happen to be very proud of my Polish heritage.
What heritage? You come from a long line of bowling teams.
We were a country of about 200 million people, and we got, on average, 45 million people watching the show every week. There were no VCRs. There was no TiVo. You had to actually sit down and watch it when it was on television. That meant that 45 million people were having a shared experience at the same time.
I got to tell you, I can remember being 10 years old, and it was an event in our house when All in the Family came on. My father would say, "All in the Family's on," and everybody would come in and watch. You talk about that shared experience.
Right, and then there was family discussion afterwards. You don't see that so much anymore.
But another hallmark of All in the Family does remain.
Well, why don't you fix it, meathead, huh? It ain't my fault, meathead. Hold it, meathead, hold it.
Meathead.
Meathead.
People still call you Meathead?
Yes, on almost a daily basis, somebody will call me that, and I love that because I had such a great experience with the show. I'm so proud of it, and I've often said, no matter what I do in life, I could win the Nobel Prize. The headline would read, "Meathead wins Nobel."
During his years on All in the Family, he married Penny Marshall, who'd star in her own hit sitcom, Laverne and Shirley, in 1976. Their fame was staggering.
Could you go out of the house?
No.
At all?
No. Couldn't go anywhere. I mean, it was insane. It was like really crazy.
By the end of the 70s, the marriage broke up. All in the Family went off the air, and Reiner turned to directing. His improvised mock documentary, This Is Spinal Tap, followed the fictional tour of the fictional band Spinal Tap, England's loudest band.
If you can see, the numbers all go to 11. Look, right across the board. 11, 11,
and most of
11,
the
and then
amps go up to 10.
Exactly.
Yeah, they go to 11, and also they were very punctual, which is an odd kind of dichotomy, to be punctual and that loud.
But doing sitcoms and satires was very much in his father's repertoire. As he approached 40, Reiner wanted to do something that would set him apart. He got his chance with the movie Stand By Me. It follows Gordy and three friends who face adversity while looking for the body of a boy who'd gone missing.
Do you think I'm weird? Definitely. No, man, seriously. Am I weird?
I thought, oh God, I can make this. I know what this is. Because I basically made my own story. A lot of the feelings that Gordy was having were things that I had when I was young growing up.
Stand By Me was a critical and financial success, so Reiner decided to try his hand at another story close to his heart, a fairy tale, The Princess Bride. But first, he had to get permission from the book's author, William Goldman.
And I was so nervous. We sat down, he has his high squeaky voice, and he says, "Well, I just think this is going great. I'm having a great time." And I said, oh my God, I was so happy. I was so happy.
I can't compete with you physically, and you're no match for my brains.
You're that smart.
Let me put it this way. Have you ever heard of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates?
Yes.
Morons.
Audiences were delighted, And Rob Reiner was gaining a reputation as a director who had tapped into the culture of the times, a theory that was secured 2 years later when his production company, Castle Rock Entertainment, released When Harry Met Sally.
You realize, of course, that we could never be friends.
Why not?
Men and women can't be friends because the sex part always gets in the way.
Is the Billy Crystal character in that movie any part of you at all?
It's totally me.
Totally you.
It's totally me, 100% me. I mean, when I was single, I've been married for 10 years, I was single for 10 years, making a complete and utter mess of my, dating life, trying to figure all these things out. I mean, you want to have sex, but if you do have sex, does it ruin the friendship? That became the basis of the movie.
Oh, yes! Yes! Yes!
Perhaps it doesn't sound like a topic you'd involve your mom in, but Reiner did just that. In fact, his mother, Estelle, who died in 2008, steals what should have been an unstealable scene.
I'll have what she's having.
I remember being in the theater, and the place just went nuts.
They explode, yeah, they exploded.
Did it take a lot of talking to get your mom to do that role?
No, it didn't take a lot of talking because she was just happy to spend the day with me. She had a hot dog, she watched it, and sure enough, it became the funniest line of any movie I've ever done.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the code red?
The funniest, but not his most famous. That honor goes to Jack Nicholson's Colonel Jessup in 1992's A Few Good Men.
You can't handle the truth.
The film was nominated for a Best Picture Oscar.
It gives me a tremendous amount of pleasure that that you make movies and they make it as part of the culture. They become part of the vernacular. This room over here is what we call the ego room.
At his house, there's a small room crammed with points of pride from his life in entertainment.
This is from the new movie, right?
Yes, this is from Flipped, and this was painted by my brother, Lucas.
But there are some defining moments not immortalized here. Case in point, Seinfeld, one of his production company's hits, would have been canceled early on if Reiner had not personally argued its case to NBC brass.
We just had to fight like crazy to keep it on the air, which we did.
Did you know that was going to be a hit? Did you know that was going to be very successful?
you never know anything's going to be a hit. We knew it was good. You're coming out like this, but then...
Maybe it's just that simple. Whether he's directing, producing, acting, or writing, Rob Reiner says he just tries to be good. And that means working with what he knows.
Otherwise, I wouldn't know how to tell the story.
And keeping to his own golden rule.
Basically, my philosophy is give the audience the best seat in the house. I don't like a lot of, tricks and gimmicks to make it work.